The T110E5 is a vehicle that I have not made a review on in a decent amount of time, but I can tell you that it is easily one of the best tier 10 heavies in the game. With its solid damage per minute, incredible hull down capabilities, and overall good mobility, the E5 is quite the tricky tank to actually counter. This vehicle has gone through quite a bit of different stages throughout its life, but I would definitely say right now is the best state it's ever been in. It has 2,678 damage per minute running calibrated shells, 274 mils of standard pen, and 384 on the gold. So this thing's got pen out the wazoo. Not only does it have a boatload of penetration, its accuracy is among the best for a tier 10 heavy, and it has really good damage per shot at 400. You might be saying good isn't higher better. Well, not always, because having a lower damage per shot means that you can also reload quite fast, this one being right under 9 seconds. Pair that with 8 degrees of gun depression and a top speed of 42 with a very solid power to weight ratio, and the E5 really just excels in any situation you put it in. There's only one issue with the E5, and that is its reverse speed. The tank reverses at 12. I wish and wish and wish upon a star that Wargaming would just make the reverse even 14, ideally 15, and this tank would be S tier. But because it has somewhat poor American track wheels paired with a bad reverse speed, it is tricky to get out of situations you may have over-aggressed in. But this vehicle does feature good gun depression and great turret armor, so as long as you put it in a hull down position, you usually shouldn't have to worry too much, because most of the time you're fine. And that's what I like about the E5 so much. It's kind of like a Concept 1B, but it trades a bit of the mobility for a lot more armor, especially on the hull. The E5 is one of the trickiest tanks to face hug in the game, due to the amount of armor the upper plate on this vehicle features. It's honestly pretty impressive. It used to have a big ol' hatch, but Wargaming has obviously removed that hatch, just cut it right off. And yeah, the E5's in a pretty dang strong state. So, here we are, loading into our first battle. Not on a great map. We'll have to see what actually happens here. The enemy team only has 2 Tier 9 mediums, a Projet Luis, and a T-55A. We also have 2 Tier 9 mediums, another Luis, and a Standard B. Okay, well, we do get the good spawn. I'm going to ping for my team to go to this way, but our Rhino is already not doing that. Why? I don't know. But, oh well, looks like we're just going to be down a player. Also, I realize my volume is very loud. Let me turn that down so I don't deafen a lot of you. I'll turn it down to, like, that should be good, 40, and then I'll turn up my headset. Yeah, my headset has a separate volume to my computer, so sometimes I don't notice how loud it is. Alrighty, well, we are just going to push up here. I don't even understand what our Rhino's doing. He's going to really regret that, though, because he is running into now every single player on the enemy team, evidently. But we'll have to see. I am going to continue pushing up here. You can see the pretty good mobility of the E5, chilling at around 40 kilometers per hour. I overpoked that. I did. I didn't think the 114 was just going to stand still, and because he did, he was able to get a pretty easy shot right into my tank. Well, oh well. We aim in another nice shell onto the 114, so we've already dealt more damage than he's done to me, and we reload again. 3, 2, 1, and, well, I don't want to get shot by him, so that's kind of why I quickly fired that shell. However, at this point, it's not going to matter, as the 114 is taken out of the game. We can see the enemy FE2 and 5B183. We can also see the E75. I'm going to aim in briefly on the E75, back up before the enemy IS-7 is able to hit me. So far, we're doing pretty good. You can see where the accuracy of the E5 feels absolutely insane. I mean, look at this accuracy when aiming it on the IS-7 here. Once you get that bead aimed in on your opponents, the thing is just a laser beam. And when you pair that with the good DPM, as I mentioned, like, this tank is just really nasty. I think the E5 is definitely one of the best tier 10s, and it's just so good because of that accuracy. Like, normally shooting at the flat side of an IS-7 is a little tricky because you never know if the shell is going to go into the spaced armor or if it's going to actually go where you want it to. But as we see with this tank, your shells usually go where you actually want them to. So the 183 just fired, and I'm hoping that I can ideally push this FE2 and 5P183 and get a shell into him. I'm not going to be able to shoot him in that direction, so we're going to have to go this way. The E5 is not the most mobile on its traverse speed. To be fair, I am not running improved fuel, so that is one reason. But yeah, the E5 is a bit slower than you would expect on its traverse speed. However, we get a nice shell into the 183. We're up to 2,678 damage now, and we're going to reload in 2 seconds and get another shell out into his tank. There you go, 3,100 damage. I don't think we're going to get any more out. This enemy team is pretty brain dead, and somehow our Rhino's alive as well. I don't know how that's possible, judging that most of the enemy team went town, but I'm not going to complain. We did fine, we're going to get a win, and well, we're going to see if we can get any more damage out this game. The BZ-68 is about to be pushed by the Luis, and if he gets shot by the Hori, which it looks like he might, he's going to be taken out of the game. Which means that with our one-shot standard B, we actually might be able to get a little bit more damage out, which is actually kind of nice. So we'll see if that exactly happens here. We have the Luis, which is right in front of us. We have the standard B, but we also have our Luis, who is pushing up as quickly as he can. Let's make our way behind, and we are going to load an HE, wait for him to show us his rear. There you go, get a nice 525 HE into his bootay, although it doesn't really matter because we're going to get the clearing shell in anyway. Well, we can see where the good mobility, solid DPM, and fantastic accuracy worked all in tandem to have just a really enjoyable game for the E5. So, we got a victory, and we ended up dealing 3,800 damage, which is a pretty solid result. Not only that, but we killed 2 enemy tanks. This is just why the E5 feels so great, though. As I talked about in a previous video, I personally do think the E5 is quite possibly the best overall tier 10. Like, if you're a decent player, it's hard to do bad in this vehicle because there's almost never a situation where you feel like, oh, I can't handle this. You have the DPM, you have the accuracy, you have the armor, you have the penetration, you have everything bundled into this little ball that allows you to just feel confident whether you are dealing with an STB1 or a big old German heavy like an E100. And it's just great at that situation. The major weaknesses are traverse speed is not very great, as you saw, so if you are on medium terrain, it's very easy to track the E5 and get to its side, but most people don't actually do that, so it's not too big of a problem. And the other weakness of the E5, as I mentioned, is the reverse speed. You have to be careful where you play, especially with the auto-loading meta that exists. There are just more and more auto-loaders that are being brought into the game. The VZ-55 just got an auto-loading gun, and it used to be a single shot. We have the 57 Heavy, the AMX-50B. We have the Foch 155 now with its double shot 560 Alpha paired with Tungsten. That tank can deal close to 1,300 damage in a matter of 3.75 seconds. We have the TVP. We have the Bosch Ation with now 3,200 DPM. There are just so many autoloaders in tier 10 that you have to be cautious. Whenever you're fighting autoloaders, you have to make sure that you're not putting yourself in a line of fire where if you get tracked, you're not going to be able to back up. But that's why I always run 2 repair kits on vehicles that reverse slow, because if you reverse slow, you need to be able to get back into cover. So let's get into one more battle here and see what the E5 can do. Okay, we are on Hellas, and, well, let's see what we can do. Up against us, we have a Bosch Ation 25-ton, we have an E5, E75, okay. I mean, and then they just got a bunch of tank destroyers. It's a little tricky to decide where I want to go, but with the way our team is driving currently, especially with our VK90 going to mid, I'm just going to go to medium flank. There's really no point, especially with my AFK Kron. Even if he does come back, at this point, it's more efficient for me to go over here. Well, I guess it would be this way because the camera's inverted, but you get my point. Let's head over here and see what we can do. I am going to... Actually, I'm just going to go right over. You know, sometimes I like to go low because it's a bit safer, but it's a little faster to go this route, and judging that not much has been spotted so far, I would assume that most of the enemy team is not over here. Well, let's keep going, and let's hope that I won't get shot in the side. No, we do not. The Badger does get spotted, but does not have the opportunity to hit me. Alright, let's just poke this a little bit, and bonk. Oh! That shell did not go where I expected it to. Alright, well, not that big of a deal. We haven't bled any health, so as long as I don't bleed any health. Also, I'm stuck on an invisible rock. Alright, let's see. We got the Badger. Easy shot for 360 into you. And, wow, our Object 268 is already dead. I'm not sure why the 268 made that play, but he did. There you go, another nice shot into the Bosch Ation. Again, we can see that incredible level of accuracy. Like, the fact that you can just hit these shells so confidently in this tank is... It's quite nice. Now we can see that our Waffenträger Panzer IV is dead. Like, there's no beating around the bush. Bro is absolutely cooked. And I'm not even sure what to do about that because I just don't see how I can hold an entire enemy team, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. They also have a 183, which has been, you know, sneaking around in the back of their spawn, which is another tank I have to worry about. We have the 55A, we got the Boss Chatillon, we have the enemy E75, which, there it is. Of course, of course, of course. Nobody on our team's going to spot the Jagdpanzer. So let me get this right. I have to not only hold my spawn, because I have no support, and I'm the only player here who's doing it, but I also have to hold against the enemy Yag and 183. Incredible. Truly incredible. Well, we're going to put on our adrenaline, and I'm going to see if we can get the clearing shell into the enemy Boss Chatillon. There you go, 296. Good job, team. You're doing a great one. I'm not exactly sure what you're doing a great one at, but you're doing it. Oh, boy. We got the E5, we got the Yag. I'm still holding here to the best of my abilities. We also have the E75 on me, which is a whole different basket of problems. Well, I'm going to see if I can do anything about this E75. There you go, 380 damage. Not bad. E5 is on my side as well, which is a bit of a problem, especially because my teammate just dies. But we're going to poke the C75, load a gold shell, get a nice 425 roll. I mean, we're getting bleeds out, we're doing our best. As I mentioned, this tank is not the most mobile, and that does put you in some problematic situations. And as I also mentioned, the traverse speed is awful on this tank, meaning that something like this 55A can quite easily get to my side, which is a little annoying. Yeah, this is a bit of an annoying situation we're in here. But I'm doing alright. We're going to keep on bleeding out this 55A, get another 400 damage shot out, and what I'm hoping is that I can, you know, kind of face hug this 55 to a point where he can't pen me, and then we can angle it like this, get a nice shot into you. We do get shot back, and that's not entirely ideal, and we die. But wouldn't have mattered. The E5 would have killed me anyway. Our team was honestly just a big disgrace this battle. If I had had even the slightest amount of support, or the enemy tank destroyers had been cleared, we would have been fine. This could be a win, but chances are very slim to none, judging that 2 of our 3 players are one-shots, and yeah, it's just not good. I don't understand why our team had such, yeah, good job from our Leopard. Wow. Welcome to World of Tanks, ladies and gentlemen. Well, even with my team not being optimal players, somehow the full health enemy E5 managed to lose this battle by completely ignoring the base cap. So, as we can see, we won the game. You know what? I'll take it. We can clearly see where the E5 does really good, but it also struggles. As I mentioned, the traverse speed is not good, and because of that, something like a 55A can very easily waste your time and you'll have to go around in circles. To be fair, I still hit every shot on reload and ended up dealing 3,600 damage. And the only reason I even died this game was because we had not one, not 2, but 3 players dealing 0 damage. So the fact we even won this battle is a miracle on itself. So, yeah, I can't really get mad at the E5 when this was the team I had here. It's, yeah, it's quite impressive. I don't know what else to say. As I mentioned before, all our team needed to do was deal with the Yag and the 183 while I tried to single-handedly hold our entire spawn. But nope, I got a big ol' shell in the shape of a Jagdpanzer flying into my bootay. But we won, so I can't get too mad, and both games are still pretty solid. The E5 is just a great tank, because as you can see, even in times of trouble, it still usually puts out a solid amount of damage, has the DPM and the accuracy to get the job done. It's a fantastic tier 10, and it's always a good shout. So if you're thinking of what's the next tier 10 I want to grind, this is a great choice. It's always going to get the job done. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!